I
You're
cleaned the corner of my office so it looks like I'm semi-organized.
you look you're like Kelly. You're a good-looking guy. You should get into the motion picture business.
Thanks, man.
All right. So this is Mike. I'm here with Rob, and Rob, I thought a lot of people want to know about the recent success you had. You just had a real breakthrough at WSO, but it's actually in a sense nothing new. This is really something that you've been building towards, and
Mhm.
you've been really at it. I've known you for over a year now, but I think a lot of just to kind of get started, and we can follow up with some other questions and some more real specific stuff. But I thought it'd be so cool. Just we're just getting started today. Both of you and I are just beginning our days. I was just thinking, about a year and a half ago when I first met you, where were you and what's been the progression, since then? I got a cup of coffee here, so I'm really going to enjoy this.
Wow, a year and a half ago. That's a while ago. It seems like a while ago.
Seems like a whole different lifetime, right?
Yeah, since then I don't know. I've been working on internet marketing for a long time, and been working on the internet for a long time. But a year and a half ago, I was still at a job, and I was still kind of working away at the corporate lifestyle.
Yeah, what was your job?
At the time, I was doing usability consulting.
Oh my gosh.
So, well, sort of. I was like with a partner.
Okay.
He was the main guy, and I was his sort of assistant, but I tell everybody I was a consultant.
Sure.
So we would go into websites and we would tell companies how to improve them to improve their conversion rates and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
So I learned a lot from him, but really I think the thing that made the difference was when I joined Bring the Fresh and I started learning how to drive traffic a lot easier.
Yeah.
And stuff that I had learned about conversion already, it was easier to apply with traffic, you know what I mean? So
you seem kind of like a genius, like already, like you know all this stuff and you know all this nomenclature. But if we were going to like boil things down, somebody who's just getting started and watching this video, if they're just getting started, they're probably a pretty smart person, but they're just getting started with this internet marketing stuff. How long ago were you that guy? Were you was that 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when you were just getting started?
Well, the thing is, I didn't really work on like the technical side of things when I was doing that stuff. I would do like wireframes and stuff. So we were basically making little pictures of websites. So
like a graphics designer.
Yeah, like WordPress and stuff. I was new to all that. I knew a little bit about website coding and stuff like that. But as far as making money online, I was pretty much a newbie. I tried a few things. I bought a few products, but I hadn't made much money online. I tried. Maybe like 2 or 3 years ago was maybe when I was just total newbie. I didn't know anything.
Right.
As far as affiliate marketing or anything like that. But I probably struggled for at least a year and a half or so until I started making some consistent money online.
Yeah. When did that change?
It changed when I tried out. I had a concept that I'd been working on. And I had this website and I had a little bit of traffic. I was making like a little bit of money. And then I joined Bring the Fresh and I decided to apply the whole SEO stuff to it because it was just kind of by dumb luck that I was getting the traffic to that site.
Yeah.
So I went to rank it in Google and that's the site that started getting like thousands of visitors per day.
Yeah.
Because it were a really high ranking keyword, and then it started making over $1,000 a month.
What was that like for you, going from like not really making passive income to like having a freaking $1,000 in your hands at the end of the month?
It was cool. It feels like free money, even though you put in the work up front.
Yeah.
Once it's there and it's going, it sort of feels like you don't deserve it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's funny. Yeah, I was doing an interview with somebody else who'd been very successful named David. He made a couple $100,000, and I was asking him about this stuff because it's extraordinary to me. Like every time I hear about somebody else experiencing this miracle, it's shocking to me too. But he was saying, his wife's friends are like, "What does David do? What does David do?" And she would ask him, she's sort of new, but he was like, "I don't know, I collect money."
Yeah. I recommend stuff.
And then collect money. Okay, yeah. So there you are. Like, what's that progression like? What's that month like? So you do a few things. You got Bring the Fresh. It wasn't too complicated for you. You're able to, basically signal to Google, hey, send some folks over to my site.
Right, exactly. The thing was, I was sort of just dipping my toe in the water. It's like, nah, we'll see if this works.
Yeah.
And I actually did all the link building by hand.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, and nowadays I do, mainly outsource it all. So if I have a website, I'll just go and get someone else to build all the links for me. But back then, I didn't have any software or anything. So
yeah.
I went in and I did, the link building all by hand over the course of maybe a week or two, just kind of a bit each day.
Yeah.
And within a few weeks, then I saw my site started jumping up. So it was ranking for a long tail keyword already, just kind of by luck.
Yeah.
But then I started going for like a big keyword.
Yeah.
And within about 2 weeks, I watched as it went up. It got onto page 2.
Yeah.
And I saw on my Google Analytics account like a big jump.
Yeah.
Big spike.
Yeah.
And then when it hit page 1, there was a big spike.
Yeah.
And then when it was something at like 7 or 8. And then one day I looked and it was at number 1.
Oh my gosh.
Through the roof.
Boom! That's great.
The funny thing is, it was in a niche that doesn't really interest me at all.
Yeah.
So that's why this is like...
Because I would say you're passionate about internet marketing. I remember we did an interview with another extremely successful, one of mine and Kelly's really successful clients, a young man named Rick Rivera. And you jumped on a webinar that we did, and I want to say it was about a year ago. And it was you were really getting your chops up. You were making a few $1,000s a month, and you were just so passionate about it. And I still, to this day, I still get comments from people who heard you on that webinar, and you were just so passionate about the value that there is to be had online, I would say, and the value that you as the guy can provide to your visitors, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think people provide a lot of value online when they get started out. They're looking for an easy solution, and the difference between building kind of a mediocre, crappy site and building a good site that provides value and that people want to visit is not that big a difference.
What would you say is the difference? Because I would say that's something that you have a passion for and that really sparks something for you. And I think a lot of folks, when they're on the outside looking in, they're just getting started, they're just thinking to themselves, they're not even thinking about what's going to be on the website. They just want, some success, to make some money. Those intricate details it's not as clear for them. But do you think that you can paint a little bit clearer a picture for you? Like, what was it like when you went from having because this site, that you're getting suddenly the rankings on, you had good value on the site for people to enjoy. So what would you say the before and after was like on the value angle? Like, that site being able to really, be very nice for your visitors.
Well, people talk about putting like Facebook like buttons and stuff like that on there, and then they'll go and they'll hire people to click the like button so it looks like people like their site. Well, if you build a really good site that helps them, they're going to click it anyway.
Right.
So, if you have to pay someone to like it, then you didn't do a very good job.
Yeah.
So I remember after I joined Bring the Fresh and I started making posts over there, and then I put my little link so people could sign up for my list, and I started sending out my emails.
Yeah.
People would start emailing me and asking me questions, and I told them, I used to be in usability consulting and stuff like that, and told them about myself. And one guy was asking me this sort of same question, and I was telling him, you need to provide value, you need to actually help people get them from point A to point B, and he made this comment that was like, I appreciate that. I can see it's nice to help people and all that, but I just want to make money.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's easy to be sympathetic because we can, once you're on the value provider side of things, you see both sides of it. I'm sympathetic to the guy or the gal that just wants to make money, but I'm also sympathetic to their long-term happiness in life, to their visitors' value in life. The way that keeps on going, is that we do provide a little bit of value. But what do we mean by value? So give me a before and after experience for your website. Let's imagine, Jane Smith visits your, goes searching for an answer before your website and then after your website. So before your website, I assume she's got some sort of a problem. We won't get into the details of it, but whatever it is, she's got a problem, an itching desire in the back of her head. She goes, she searches, she's never satisfied with the sites she finds, what they're confusing, they're like, are they just not signaling to her that they have the value that she wants? Or, like let's bring this home for somebody in like very specific terms, like somebody who's passionate about, a different niche. Like paint for me that scenario before and after with value.
Well, value is such a vague term, and people throw it around a lot, and it's kind of, ambiguous. Well, so somebody comes to your site, and they're interested in whatever the topic is, and they're at point A, and they want to get to point B.
Sure.
And so point A is essentially they have a problem, or they have a need, or a desire, or point B is...
Yeah, an itch that they need to scratch.
Right, exactly. So, like, I don't know, what's a stereotypical example, like dog training or something?
Yeah, dog training, relationship advice, what have you.
Right. So if you're at point A, or I like relationship advice. So there's a guy that can't meet women.
Yeah.
So point A is that he's not very good with women. He's not very confident. Point B would be he's become more confident. He's able to meet women. He's able to accomplish his goal. Maybe he has a girlfriend.
Sure. You have a beautiful girlfriend. Certainly something that you don't struggle with, but somebody else may be there, or you may have had a time in your life when you needed some advice.
I like the dating example because everybody can relate to it.
Yeah.
So if he comes to your site and he's trying to get from point A to point B, if you're going to provide him with value, you got to move him along towards, his intended goal, which is point B, whatever he wants. And so when he comes to your site, it could just be articles, it could be resources, things that you offer him to help him. And when you're doing internet marketing, you want to, you're trying to sell products, information products, affiliate products, but so you're making your recommendation, and he's coming to your site. The only way he's going to trust your recommendation is if you've actually made a connection, you've helped him. And in the process of helping him, you sort of become like an authority figure in his eyes.
So you think that there's like something that sets the basis there, something that kind of like sets the groundwork or lays the foundation of a house, and that's that kind of trusting connection.
Right. Exactly. Well, think about it. Like, if some guy on the street is like, "Hey, go to this place. It's really cool." You'd probably just ignore him. But if your buddy walks up to you and says, "Hey, you should go to this place. It's cool," well, then you'll consider it.
Yeah.
So what you're trying to do is you're trying to, help them out and build that connection, as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Online, all that it takes is giving them the exact information they need. So you think about the way that you surf the internet. When you go to Google and you're looking for a solution, and everybody does this, you type in a search term, bunch of results come up, you click on one, and it's nothing related to what you want. Even though the title says, and you sit there searching through, and you click a button, go back, click a button, go back, click a button until something resonates with you.
Yeah.
And if you can create that where you can resonate with them, and draw them in and give them that information and that help and that support that they're looking for, then you've instantly jumped up in their book, as far as rapport and trust.
Yeah, and you're not some guy off the street when it comes to this stuff. I remember looking back, and it's nice for me to do a follow-up interview. This is one of the things I really appreciate about the success that Kelly and I, that our members have had with Bring the Fresh and with stuff that we've shared. But the really cool thing about, once you went from that first $1,000 a month, and then it was $2,000 or $3,000 or whatever. I remember you were right in that stage about a year ago when we were doing that webinar. And the cool thing about it was you had a way of zeroing in on how, what needs your customers had, what needs your visitors had, and providing it. And I would say that the way you were doing that was by making yourself available, so you could not just be contactable on your website, but you're encouraging it, like really, really encouraging people to interact with you. And then you were, when the phone rang, you were on the other side of the phone. When somebody called you, you answered. And that was giving you like all kinds of this raw feedback, letting you know, hey, I'm off track. Hey, I'm on track. Yes, this is what this guy needs. No, this is what this woman doesn't need. Yes, this made this guy buy. No, this made this woman not buy. But what was that connection like? Because it seemed to me so much of the value that you were able to provide to your visitors was coming from your other visitors who were asking you questions and who were trying to take things to the next level with you.
Right, exactly. A lot of times what would happen would be somebody would email me and they would ask me a question, because they enjoyed my emails. And a lot of times that would spark something in my head, and I would write this big long response back to them. And then I would say, wow, that was really helpful, and I would turn around and I would use that.
Yep.
Future emails, and then everybody else would love it. Or I'd use it in a blog post. I'd repurpose it in all these different ways, maybe make a video out of it.
It's like you get a nugget of information, and you could just keep hammering on that nugget because it resonated with people.
Exactly. And everybody's in this same niche, like a lot of people who do internet marketing at some point start promoting stuff in the internet marketing niche because it's something that they understand and
something they're passionate about. Exactly. Like, because one of the things I'm imagining somebody, I remember when I first got involved with internet marketing, and there weren't, things were very different. It was about 2002, 2003. I was already doing some eBay online and stuff like that. And I went to an internet marketing event, and I could see all of the energy in the air about internet marketing. And yet, and looking back, a lot of those people who I was getting to know back then, who were just the bare bone beginning starters, a lot of those guys are the big name gurus now. But how did they go from getting started? In most cases, it was a matter of networking, like most internet marketing gurus. But there is a different way. And I think that one of the things I wanted to highlight in this wrap session with you is that you've been able, like there's actually a few Bring the Fresh members who've been able to break through, but in a very non-traditional way. Because the traditional way for breaking through is making an affiliate deal. Who cares what product you're selling, or who cares what product they're selling? Who cares what the value is? Just essentially operating on the affiliate plane and ignoring, God bless you, and ignoring the needs of your customers and so forth. But this is something that you didn't do. Like, you really built up your chops. You had a lot of value to provide, and you were already providing that value to specific customers who were emailing you saying, hey, Rob, how do you do this? How do you do that? How do you get your webpage to make money? I'm having trouble with mine. And you had so much value to begin with, and so much of it revolved around those emails that you're answering. And people are writing in saying, what about this? What about this? What about this? And you're having to provide not just answers for those people, but answers that satisfy you, answers that satisfy that person, and get them to take action.
Right. That's a big challenge. Getting them to take action, It's one thing when you're trying to optimize a website for your own benefit, but when you're trying to parlay that information to someone else in a way that motivates them to actually take an action, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah. But, do you have to use the word parlay? No, I'm just joshing around with you. No, but seriously, like what you're trying to do in life, so often we're trying to trade up, and it's so hard to imagine. Just for a moment here, it's so hard for people who are just getting started in business to imagine that they have something very special that can help another person or several other people. But what we're pointing to, and we're not trying to be mystical about this, is this very special and very valuable connection. Because we're talking about value. You said it earlier. Hey, what's value? People, blah, 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 value this, value that, over-deliver, all these keywords that people use, these buzzwords, but what do they mean? Well, we're zeroing in on one very specific point of value, and I'm telling you that you can use this point of value to drive any business, whether it's internet marketing based business. Of course, we're talking about internet marketing and making money on, in this kind of, making profits. There's a wide open number of different ways to do it. You don't even have to use the internet, but at the end of the day, what we can do is we can have one single good conversation. It can be via email. It can be at a bar with a buddy while we're watching a football game, whatever. But where we're answering somebody's question, where we've satisfied, we've scratched that itch, and then we save that. We save that conversation segment. We save the part that really worked, the answer that worked, the whatever scratched the itch. And then what we're doing, and you're pointing this out, it's so great to see you do it because it's the same experience that I went through. You're lovingly gathering those valuable pieces of information and transferring them, whether now this is going to be a blog post, now this is going to be a video, now this is going to be the seed information for my next 2 or 3 emails, and then you
distill it down to like 2 or 3 bullet points, and people just skim through them and they don't realize how much has gone into those couple of nuggets.
Yeah. Can you give me an example of like a specific question that you've answered? Let's go to the internet marketing industry, because this is one of the things that's led you're now a guru. You now have, when you turn on Skype, boom, bunch of new friend requests. You now have people being like, hey, Rob, you don't know me, but blah, blah, blah. Can you do this favor for me? Can you mail for me? I want to mail for you. What's going on? You're in the game now. So what's a value point that you gave to somebody, that you bestowed to somebody? Somebody wrote you in. John Smith wrote in. Jane Allen, she wrote in. They had a question for you about internet marketing. You were able to answer that question, and then it's something that you were able to gather up and carry forward.
I've got a good one that I think people with Bring a Fresh could relate to, because it had to do with launch checking.
Okay.
When I started doing the email lists, I was doing case studies and things like that, and I would tell people as I would make a site, and then if it failed miserably, I would tell them it failed miserably, and I think here's why.
Okay, so you're making little launch tracking sites. Like a new product is coming out, you're ranking highly for it and saying, hey, I'm going to make an affiliate offer. This is what we call launch jacking. We're kind of hijacking the momentum of a launch of a new product, jumping on board, and adding some value to the process. We're not going to go into a whole thing about it, but I want people to be oriented to what we're talking about. So what you're doing to your budding internet marketing list, this is really only a few dozen people at this point, right? Like in the early days, mostly
like 100 or less.
Yeah, 100 or less people, mostly people who had gone to some other offer, and you built a list. This is so brilliant how you did this. You actually built a list, mostly a customer list, people who bought an ebook from you or a course from you, and you're like, hey, let me give you more information. Let me continue on with that. So I'm just kind of setting the scope of things. But at this point, that may sound like a lot, but you're not some big, huge business. You don't have a bunch of employees. You're probably still working for somebody else at that point. And so you get a question from somebody, you're encouraging, and what was the question and what was your answer and where to go from there?
Well, generally they would respond to a previous email. So I'd make a point and then they would come back with a question. So I said something like, you have to do something to stand apart from the crowd.
Yeah.
So there's other people that are doing this, It's a pretty novel concept, but there's going to be competition out there.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to actually make any money with it, you have to do something to make yourself stand out from the crowd.
Yeah.
And I said the way to do that is to go in and try and capture, the specific emotions and the specific wants and needs that they have. And obviously you teach to provide some kind of bonus so that they buy through your link.
Yeah.
The incentive to buy through your link. And so people will do stuff like, I'll give you an iPad, or I'll give you this and that. They come up with all these different bonuses, and I was trying to make a really strong point that you should come up with something that's very related, something that will help them even further along in their goals. Like, if they're buying $1,000 Forex product, they probably already have an iPad. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But like, if you could provide a bonus that's going to help them towards their goal with Forex,
you're
going to say, oh, that's added value towards
what sort of sparks them off in this different direction.
Right.
But that direction is along the same road that they're already traveling.
Right, exactly. And so what a lot of people were doing was they were promoting internet marketing launches with their launch checking sites. And so I said, try and give them something that will be of value to them. And so somebody emailed me and asked me, how do we do that? I understand that I should provide more value, but how do I do that?
Yeah.
How do I understand what they want? And I said, well, you have an instant advantage because the people you're targeting you fall into that group, so you understand that group. So if you're going to try and provide, if it's something that would provide you a ton of value, then it's something that would provide them a ton of value. So to give you an example, what I used in the early days to entice people to sign up for my list was a series of videos that I made that taught a technique for making money online through video marketing. So it was like a beginner could take this and throw it up with essentially not paying any money. It's free system.
What's the technique? I'm sure everyone watching is curious.
It's very simple. It's like you go find a product, you go find some keywords, and you create a video on YouTube that's like 30 seconds long that says, hey, I saw this site, it was really cool. If you're interested in such and such, you should go check it out. And the product that I was promoting was, I believe it was called Ted's Plans or Ted's Woodworking, something like that.
Yeah.
And when you sign up, you get something like 40,000 woodworking blueprints.
Oh my gosh.
Clickbait product. And so I got on there and I said, I did do-it-yourself cabinet plans, things like that, just some keywords. And I made these videos like picture-in-picture like this, where I'm looking at the website and my little picture's there. And I said, hey, I came up with a little like moniker. I was like, hey, I'm Rob the Woodworker.
I love that. I love that.
And I made it. Rob the Woodworker was my ID on YouTube.
Cool.
It's still up there.
Yeah.
So they would comment and say, hey, if you're looking for do-it-yourself cabinet plans, there's a site that's really cool. And it was like 3 slides on a PowerPoint, and the third one was my affiliate link.
Yeah.
And honestly, it takes 5 minutes. I use screencast-o-matic.com, uploads directly to YouTube, and it makes me commissions. Like, I just make a video and it makes me commissions. I just made a commission like last week off it, and I did this at least 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, that's wild.
The very first time I did it, I used Traffic Geyser, but I was showing people how they could do it for free and they could still make commissions. And then if they wanted to up it a bit, raise their rankings and give me an even better chance, they could buy Traffic Geyser and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I would use it to promote that as well.
Yeah, to bring that along.
That was my my hook. I was like, I'll give you this series of videos. It was actually the first method that ever made me money online. Or not money online, but my first clickbait.
No, I see it right here. It's great. I'm on YouTube right now. You have over 1,000 views on it. Do it yourself cabinet plans, build your own. And it's just right there. It looks like a beautiful looking video. And anybody who wants to watch it, just go to youtube.com/Rob the Woodworker. No spaces. And you can see Rob's video. It's only it's a short video. It's like a 50-second video or something like that, where you just boom, 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 go through things.
Yeah, that was the first product I ever promoted, and that was one that I made during the tutorial videos. That one there's probably the one that I made during the tutorial videos. But I made like 5 or 6 of these, and I uploaded them to all the different sites. And my first check online was, I believe it was for $306.58.
Yeah.
And I mentioned that on my page. It's very specific. It's like my very first check from ClickBank.
Yeah.
And that's everything changed. It's like, oh, it works. I can make money online.
That's so cool.
So I said, I'll teach you this system. And so when people are going to buy an internet marketing product, and they say, you're going to teach me the first system that ever made you money online for free,
I love that.
I'll take that. I'd rather have that than an iPad.
Yeah, that's really cool. Well, and what a triumph. And by the way, if somebody else is, they make an iPad sale, let's say it's an $800 commission. They make a sale with an iPad as a bonus. Well, now they're down to, 300 or less profit, whereas if you make that sale with your woodworking videos, then it's worth $500 more to you.
Right, exactly.
There's nothing wrong with that.
This is an example of I used this system, and it worked for me and made me money, and then I made a little 3 or 4 videos out of it. Yeah. And I still use it sometimes as a bonus.
I love that.
If somebody asks me something, I'll send them to that page on the site, and I'll say, here's a little bonus for you. But I was trying to hit home real hard on that point that if you can provide something that's going to help them get from point A to point B, rather than something else that's unrelated, that they're going to be far more likely to, buy through your link, in the case of launch jacking. So it's just another case of providing value along the lines of exactly what they want, as opposed to just something that maybe they would want.
And hopefully it's motivating. I think that you're pointing to something, you're really at this beautiful point in your exploding internet marketing career where it's all happening for you right now. And it's so cool for me to get to enjoy you going through that experience. But a lot of people don't realize there is a lot of value in being an internet marketing guru. That the gurus kind of get yelled at or elevated or regardless. Some people hate them, some people love them. But the point is that you can just build, for example, a non-internet marketing business like the woodworking, relationship advice. There's any number of niches out there. We talked about Forex earlier. There's.
By the way, that TEDx plans converts well. So if people want a product to promote, that one converts pretty well.
What converts pretty well?
That TEDx plans, like a non-IM product.
Yeah.
Tons of keywords in that one.
Oh, that's so great. Yeah, exactly. So the thing is, you found something, in this case that the plans that really, really works and really converts, and then. The great thing about becoming an internet marketing guru is whatever made you money in the first place, it's intrinsically valuable to share that with the next person. It can be valuable showing people that it's possible. It can be valuable by giving people that sense of connection, that motivation that we get. So much of the value in people that have joined mine and Kelly's community has been getting to know the other people who are involved, the other folks that are on their way up, the other folks who are already had some measure of success, You know, and you know, just kind of become part of the community. You get to know people. You have accessibility to me and Kelly and to some of the other people in the community. You know, you're a member of our forum. You're, you know, one of the prominent members of our forum. You've, you know, given tons and tons of value through, you know, members on our membership site. But I want folks to know that it's absolutely legitimate and powerful to make your money, you know, not necessarily being the front man for an internet marketing product, you know, but you can make your money any way that you want to, and then package that information, you know, make a case study of yourself, and that in and of itself is a point of value. That could be, you know, $100 product, it could be a $1,000 product, it could be a bonus for a $1,000 product. But whatever it is, it's something of great value. And I would venture to guess that however much money that you've made outside of being an internet marketing guru, you're probably making about that same amount of money as an online marketing guru, which is doubling your money. So if you made, you know, $50,000 as a non-internet marketing guru, then you make $50,000 as an internet marketing guru. Boom, that's $100,000, and they're both helping each other. It's making you do a better job with your, you know, in this case, woodworking isn't your main business, but it was something that you got involved with, something that you did well, and that experience carried over when you became a guru. It gave you something to talk about, something specific to point to reference, and to help other people learn what the next move that they can make is.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, the first site that I did that was making over $1,000 per month was in the spirituality niche.
Okay.
And I won't get into the details because it's kind of like my secret site, right?
Sure.
Not something I'm passionate about at all, you know. And the thing that I am passionate about is business and
internet marketing,
starting businesses and things like that. And that's why I'm going into the guru space. You know, when I was younger, I started my own businesses. I went to school for business. I always wanted to own a business. And so for me to go into the IM space and focus on that niche, it's because I'm passionate about it. It's not because there's a lot of money to be made in it. I mean, obviously there is, but that's part of it. But the main reason why I can do so well on it is because it's a niche that I really enjoy, and it's something that I get a kick out of. Like if somebody emails me and asks me a question about how to work on their site to make more money, I'm really passionate about it, and I enjoy helping them. Yeah. And when they have success, I really enjoy that.
I love that.
Your passion is like, I love dogs, then go into the dog niche, or whatever. Yeah. And that's the great thing about it is there's the internet's so huge, and there's so many people online and everybody buys their stuff online, that there's space really in any niche. If it's something that you're really passionate about, and that you can actually, if you're passionate about it, then you can connect with people. Yeah. And if you can connect with people, they'll buy what you recommend. You
know, here's a complaint that I've never heard. I've never heard in any niche a single passionate customer say there's too many good products. I've never heard it. I mean, have you ever heard it? I've never heard a passionate NFL fan say, damn it, there's too many games. Too many good games. I hate it. You know, you don't hear somebody who's passionate about relationship advice saying, damn it, I'm getting too much good, you know, information here. I don't want it. This sucks. You know, internet marketing. Oh man, I'm getting too much traffic to my sites. I have nothing to do with all these visitors. They all want to give me money. My bank account will only hold but so much. You don't hear that. These are complaints that you don't hear. And yet folks naturally assume, hey, there's already quote unquote so many internet marketing gurus. There's already so many relationship advice gurus. There's already so many, you know, woodworking gurus or spirituality gurus. And the reality is that there's such a deep thirst that people have for accessibility. It's one of the big keys as we're talking through this conversation. You know, this video that Rob and I are creating for you, it's born of accessibility that Rob had to me in the first place. You know, Rob had access to me. I saw that Rob was giving access to himself, likewise to his customers. That was something that sparked an interest for me and made me want to be more involved with Rob, made me impressed with Rob and the moves he was making. I remember telling, actually, I don't know who was telling each other more, but I remember Kelly and I talking about it a year and a half ago, or year and a half ago, and you're one of the guys that we were like, man, this guy's a star. You know, he's somebody who's on the rise, and it was never a surprise to us when you came out with your big. So okay, let's get to the big numbers now. You just recently had a huge success. Your first really big, you know, in a super short period of time. You went to a forum and you put up what's called a WSO, a Warrior Special Offer, on Warrior Forum. And this is a forum that's traveled by thousands and thousands of people looking for internet marketing advice. and you buck some of the trends out there. There's a lot of people saying, oh, you have to offer a lot of commissions and big bonuses and all this stuff. But anyways, you created a software that was kind of for yourself, but you decided, hey, I'll go ahead and put this out for other people as well. And what was that like? What was the results like? Like what happened? This is all just a few days ago, really. I mean, that you had your launch, right?
Yeah. So that first site that I told you about, the one that I wasn't very passionate about, well, it's the first site that used this concept in this software, and it wasn't in this form. I had somebody hard coded on the site. Now the site did really well, and I told you that I wasn't that passionate about the niche, but the value that I gained from it was that the concept, the process that I put them through worked really well.
Yeah, so, and this is an interactive process. This is like a lot of this. Right. This is a matter. You talked about one of the big nuts to crack is just breaking the ice online, getting that back and forth going. Like, hey, when somebody's saying to me, hey, can you give me some relationship advice? I'm a girl. I want to meet a guy. I want him to call me back. I'm a guy. I want to break the ice with the girl. I want to get started. How do I do that differently, right? Well, if it's going to a bar or something like that, like if my wife or your girlfriend were to go to a bar without us or whatever, even with us, then probably 15 minutes later, 5 guys would have said, "Can I buy you a drink?" Right? Like just the standard normal. They've heard it. Beautiful woman has heard that line 10,000 times by the time she's 25. Just this overwhelming spam of bad pickup lines, right?
Bar spam.
Yeah, exactly, bar spam. And so you want to do something different. You want to say, hey, excuse me, I had a weird situation came. My buddy over here, his girlfriend is freaking out. She found some pictures of his ex-girlfriend tucked under his bed in this like little shoebox, and she is going nuts. And she is demanding that he burn those pictures. What do you think he should do? Now that's the classic jealous girlfriend opener. That's something that Kelly, my friend Neil Strauss, invented and put about in his book. Anyways, that's a very different way of breaking the ice. It provokes an interaction. It makes the person want to say, "Oh well, that's crap. He should get rid of the girl," or "Oh, he should get rid of the pictures." Whatever. Like it evokes an emotion. It gets people going. I can even see the grin on your face. You kind of know what I'm talking about. But you came up with a way of breaking that ice on your spirituality site, getting some interactivity going. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So the idea is to get them to interact with your site, and all right. So think about a typical squeeze page, and the idea is to build a list here. And so you're offering a freebie, right? And so you say, here's something to give you a reason to sign up for my list.
Yeah, the classic one is like the Dave D'Angelo squeeze page. It's just want to kiss a girl in 5 minutes, like the 5-minute kiss close. You want to learn about this, plus the way to levitate a girl's skirt up with your brain. Just all this stuff. Make the girls flock to you, all that. So just bullet points and like here's your name, here's your email address. Fill these in. That's what I would say the classic squeeze page is.
Right. So this takes it a step further. This is more like a customized freebie. So like depending on your needs, we'll give you something customized to help you specifically. Like whatever. If you want to get to from point A to point B, well, there's one path you could take, or there's another path, or there's another path, and depending on the person that you are, you might take one or you might take another.
Okay.
And if you give them this one kiss test, well, it might work for one guy, but another guy goes, well, I'd rather do this other thing.
Yeah,
and
sure.
So you could ask them a few questions. Think about like, I used to do car sales when I was like 19 years old.
Oh, okay.
So I had these bosses that, the first 2 weeks they would put us through this like motivational kind of like training period where you get all hyped up and set you out on the sales floor. Well, so when somebody comes in, first thing you do is you start asking them questions.
Right.
You don't just start like try to sell them something. You don't say buy this.
Yeah.
Ask them a bunch of questions and you pre-qualify them, and then you sell them on something that's more targeted towards what they need.
Right.
And your conversions go up, right? Your sales go up.
Now, for someone who's watching right now, what does pre-qualify mean?
What's that?
What does pre-qualify mean for somebody who's watching right now?
Well, let's see. If you say you're trying to meet a girl, well, I'm trying to think of like a good example.
No, but that's a great example right there. So you're saying, oh, you know, you like to go out with a girl. You have a young guy walk into the dealership, and you're thinking to yourself, well, is this a practical guy who just freaking wants to get to work, or is he thinking, man, I want to get the girl with this car? So you kind of like maybe ask him some questions about his life or something like that. He might mention, oh yeah, you know, I like to go out. I like to go to the club. And you're like, that's cool, man. That's cool. Well, you know what? This Ford Escalade will get you to the club, and it's not going to break down. No problems with that. But if you want to raise some eyebrows when you get to the club, maybe you want, you know, the Lotus or the whatever the sports car is, the RX-7, the whatever. You know,
yeah. So if you're selling a car and somebody comes to your website and your website sells cars, right?
Yeah.
If it's a mother with 8 children, you know, you're going to sell her a minivan. Whereas if it's like a 22-year-old that's never gotten laid in his life, you're going to sell him, you know,
the Corvette, whatever. Sure.
You can ask him a handful of questions, and based on the answers to his questions,
you got him pegged.
Tell him something different.
Okay.
You give him different advice. For
and this, of course, the source of this all comes from you actually one-on-one with no software, with no help, just answering questions yourself. Like that's the root of this. And one of the big PowerPoints in this video is taking advantage of accessibility on the internet, learning that we can talk to our customers, and that our customers, it's almost like they're writing us checks in the future. Like, you know, here's $1 million idea. Here you go. You know, pretty cool.
Exactly. And so what the software does that I developed, that I was using on that site, is it allows you to set up a bunch of questions and ask them questions, and you know, you lure them in with your hook, what you're going to offer them. And based on the questions that they answer, you give them like a customized sort of solution. Yeah. And in the process, they sign up for your list, and it's all free. Yeah. So it works so well that on that site, it's getting, I believe it was 40. I looked at my Google Analytics over a long period of time. It was 46.58%.
That's awesome.
Opt-in rates.
Awesome.
So it's a software that works really, really well, and it's on SEO sites, which, you know, it's hard to build a list on SEO sites. Sure. You know, if you put a form, you get 1 to 2%. So it really, really works well. So I've been working on this software and this project for probably a year to 2 years. Yeah. And you know, I was working on it before I joined Bring the Fresh, and then I kind of forgot about it. Yeah. And then I used that site as a guinea pig for Bring Fresh, and it got a ton of traffic. Yeah. And suddenly it's like, oh, I got to work on this again. Yeah. And so I started working on it, and it became this huge thing. Yeah. And then I became passionate about it again. I love that. So this is what I launched as my WSO, this product that shows people how to do this, because it's so valuable. It's like
so what the product is doing is kind of guiding you through the creation, or kind of automated creates something for you that, you know, has this kind of feedback oriented, like where you're asking them questions, but then based on the answer, the follow-up question is going to be different.
Not necessarily. Well, you could do it that way. That's like a more advanced thing, and I kind of get into that. But the more basic version that most people kind of understand is the result that they get once they go through the linear series of questions, depending on the answers they get. Like, have you ever taken one of those quizzes online or in a magazine where it says choose A, B, C, or D? Totally. And then you do the next one, and then at the end it says count up the number of A's and
absolutely. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Number of B's, multiply it by 2.
Sure.
And if you are in this range,
you're a sex maniac or whatever.
Right. The same concept. So it's applied to websites.
Sure.
And the way to make it work really well is to come up with these hooks that are really powerful.
Okay. So what are powerful hooks?
What's that?
So what's a powerful hook?
Well, let's see. Like in the internet marketing niche, let's say you had a website. People come to your website, and you've got some blog posts or whatever that talk about ways to make money online, and you try and think about what their biggest. Or I'm pointing in my head. I should be pointing down here. What the biggest emotional need is. You know, what at the moment they're thinking like. They want to quit their job, or maybe, is this for me? Yeah. You know, can I do this? Think about like the insecurities maybe they have, the barriers that are standing in the way of getting, and target one of those.
So your feeling is like mentally in their mind, they're standing there like a little person, and they're staring at like a barrier that's in their way. And you want to be the guy to like level that barrier.
Like, is this really a barrier? You know, or is this like a fake barrier? You know, is this all in your head? Is this really possible?
I love that.
But you can do it in a way that, like on a squeeze page, it's kind of like aggressive. You know, you land on a squeeze page, like, give me your name, give me your email, you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
It's more like a non-committal kind of thing. It's kind of like draw them in, but without asking them really for anything other than to click stuff.
Right.
So they could go in, you can ask them questions. You can say,
because the reality is once that connection is really made with somebody, they want to continue that connection by their actions. This is one of the biggest things. It comes up in relationship advice, but it's an enormous stumbling block that people have. Enormous. Mystery calls this the Insta-date. And it's one of the smartest things I've ever seen him talk about. This is a real aha moment for me when we were first putting together, our first big relationship advice site. Mystery called it the Insta-date. So what he would see again and again is guys who are already out with a girl, already having a nice time with her, maybe having a couple drinks or whatever, and they stop the experience of the moment, the flow of the moment. You might be charging around a bar, making jokes, going to the next place, whatever. But what the guy, Mystery would see himself and other people making this mistake is that those guys would say, wait a second, let's stop this good experience that we're having so I can argue with you over whether you'll go on a date with me or not, okay? And what Mystery realizes, wait a second, you're already out with her. It's just the two of you. You're having fun. You're going from here. You're already on a date, right? You're on a date, stopping the date to ask a girl for a date. And it's ridiculous, right? And it's this kind of thing where you're creating a train wreck for no reason. And so he would call it the Insta-date. And it's funny because younger guys understand this and they get older and they lose it. I was over at my friend's Tim's place. I think you actually met Tim. And Tim's got this really, really adorable young son. And he's just getting to that age where it's starting to spark for him. He's like a little kid. But anyways, he saw my wife, Elena. And next thing I know, Tim's son was sitting down with Elena, like watching a movie with her. That he had pulled out. He like walked over some DVDs because they're like, I was over at Tim's house. Next thing you know, his son's like romancing my wife. He's just a young guy, like 5, 6, 7 years old. But I was like, man, that he's got it because it's an instant date, right? He's just enjoying it instant. He's like, hey, look at this. We're watching a movie. It's fun. Let's watch some popcorn. Hey, what's going on? But like that's
unexpected too.
Right. And so what you're having like an instant date on your site.
Yeah.
I love that.
And so the thing is, in the process, you build rapport with people, you connect with them, and you're helping them to get closer to their goal. And it's in like an enjoyable way, because you're talking about their specific need. So
because pretty soon their specific need becomes, how do I talk to you more, Rob? That becomes their need as you become the one who you're the pathfinder for them. You're the guide for them. And what do they want? They want the guide. I know it's funny if you go out in have you ever actually gone out socially with Kelly in San Diego, for example, or Los Angeles?
A few times, yeah.
And he's like a guide, right? He's like this magical miracle guide. There's no lines. There's no problems. You just float to the front of the line with Kelly. You walk into the hottest club or whatever. You go right straight to the VIP section. That's, yeah. And he's like this tour guide, right? And it's just this wonderful process. You're like, man, how do I get more of this? And so you're that same magical tour guide for, in the case of your spirituality clients or in the case of your internet marketing clients, you become that magical tour guide who says, yeah, you see that bouncer at the front, we're going to zing right past that bouncer. So if it's somebody who's like internet marketing, they're saying, man, but man, can I understand all this technical stuff? And Rob's like, no, it's cool. That technical barrier, that ain't no barrier. Push this button right here and you're all set. I mean, it's not quite like that, but that's the basic idea.
It sort of is. Like, I'll give you a little sneak preview of how I'm going to use this on my launch.
Yeah.
So I did the WSO that did really well. It did.
What were the numbers? Because I mean, I understand that overall we're looking at, it was a 6-figure launch. Yeah.
So I didn't really have any partners, Well, before the launch, I didn't have any partners. But the way that the Warrior Forum works is they can see how well it's converting. They can see the figures. You can't hide them like on ClickBank.
Yeah.
ClickBank, they don't say how many refunds are, what percentage of sales or what VC. They don't show any of that. The Warrior Forum shows.
You're using what, WSO Pro and Wishlist?
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly.
So you're actually hosting your product on Wishlist and using WSO to make your offer and WSO Pro. All right, great. Go ahead.
everybody knows exactly how well it's doing. So if it's doing well, then they go, I'm going to promote that because it's doing well.
Yeah.
So I had no affiliates whatsoever.
Right.
And, I knew a few guys, but most of the guys I knew don't promote WSO. So
yeah, we didn't come in and promote for you. You just crushed it. And not that we wouldn't, not that we don't believe in you. Right. It was all over and done with before we even knew about it. I just got a call from Kelly, and Kelly was like, "You wouldn't believe what Rob just did." And I said, I bet I would believe it.
So, people try and say it's because of the affiliates.
But it's not.
It's because it's a fantastic product.
Yeah.
It's because people really want it. They like
and it's a fantastic product because it's building on your experience that you're already having. And that's one of the things I love about this interview is that people are getting to soak in so much of that experience that you've already had, which is great. It's killer.
Yeah.
So it goes live, right? You get your offer up.
I put up, my little sales page, and you can interact with it. So people can come on the Warrior Forum. It's basically like posting a thread on a forum.
Yeah.
And people can ask questions right there.
Yeah.
And then what I did was in my members area, I had my introduction video, I had all that stuff, and then I asked them to go leave an honest review.
Yeah, I love that.
And people got so passionate about it because they love the concept so much that they went and left reviews. And so within something like 3 days, I had like 200 or 300 comments.
That's awesome.
And
Warrior Forum can be tough, by the way. Like this you're talking about an environment that's haterade to the max. I mean, just tons and tons of trolls, people yelling at each other, people who are frustrated, lots and lots of negative posts. But you ended up with something like what we have for Bring the Fresh, like this super post that's just like all these fans just cheering you on.
It's critical mass.
Yeah.
And it just starts spiraling not spiraling, it's a bad word.
Upward spiraling, yeah.
Get that momentum, spiraling upwards.
Yeah.
So it did something like 3,000 sales, and in the course of a little over
what was the price they offer?
It did over 100,000 in sales.
Oh my God. So how much was each unit?
Well, here's what I did is I did a dime sale. What you can do is you can make the price go up with each sale.
Okay.
So I started it at $17, which is kind of low price.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to get a lot of sales right off the bat and a lot of good reviews because of people who buy it for real cheap.
Sure.
There's more reciprocity. Like they feel like, oh, I got this really cheap, so they're more likely to come leave a comment.
Sure, or at least you point that out. Like, hey, I gave this to you for a good price. Now here's your part of it. I like that. So
you want the sales to take off. I was thinking I want the sales to take off real fast. So I started it really low, and it went up by 1 nickel with every sale.
Okay.
And so I had it stop at, I believe I had it stop at $37. And so on the very first day, it did, it was up to about $15,000 in sales. It just took off like immediately, just took off.
$15,000 your first day. That's awesome.
Yeah. And so I get a call, or I get an email from Mike Lance, who's the owner of the Warrior Forum. And he says, I want to feature this for WSO of the Day. I mean, it's killing it.
Oh, wonderful.
He asks me to lower the price. I said, I'll lower it for like 1 day. I'll lower it for the WSO of the Day 1 day. So we did $27 1 day when it got WSO of the Day. And I think altogether, because he takes a cut, so altogether just his sales were something like $35,000.
Wow.
And that was just like, the next day he sent out one email.
Yeah.
And you got this of the day. And then then it gets massive exposure, and then it starts getting even more momentum.
Right.
And people see how well it's doing, and more comments come in. And over the course of that week, like I said,
and this comment base, like you're not just ignoring these comments. You're in those posts. Somebody makes a comment. You're in there. It's the same idea. This upward spiral that we're getting through rapping with our customers, through saying, hey, instead of running away from them, you're running to them.
Exactly. And some people come up with negative comments, but you just, you answer them honestly, and you just don't get sucked into any of the negativity.
Yeah.
I remember one person said, I have no money, like, for, this is kind of getting expensive. I have no money for breakfast or food or something. I said something like, well, don't buy it, if you can't afford food.
Yeah,
but, I wasn't, like, trying to convince them to buy it. It was like, if this is for you, if you're into SEO, if you're into list building, it works really well. It's a better way to build, make money off of a website.
Yeah, it's like if you're selling hammers to somebody who's a contractor, who builds houses. You're not like sitting around convincing them to use a hammer. They want a hammer or they don't want a hammer. That's it.
Right. I don't want everybody to buy it. I just want the people who are going to love it to buy it.
I love that.
And so that's who I was targeting, was the people that would love it.
Yeah.
The people who would be passionate about it, because I wanted them. The only reason that I was launching it was because I wanted testimonials.
Yeah.
And I wanted success stories, and I wanted reviews and stuff like that. And
that's so weird. Why would you want that? It's okay. Kelly and I get all kinds of crap from the other internet marketers. They're like, "What's all with all these real testimonials that you guys do? It's so weird." We're like, "Yeah, I don't know. We're just bored. Just had to do something, you know."
I talked to a guy at one of these events, and he says, "I can't promote Bring the Fresh because it doesn't have, you know, boats and like islands and stuff like that. That's all I mail for."
We have a good time with that kind of stuff. So okay,
I make millions.
Yeah. So you're sitting here and you've got your first $100,000 website. I mean, you're just boom, you've done it.
Yeah, boom. Just like essentially, I mean, my goal with this was $10,000 in sales.
Yeah.
So I kind of overshot my goal.
Yeah.
But all I wanted was enough people to give me good feedback and good reviews.
Yeah.
And this works out better because now I have 3,000 people to give me good reviews.
Yeah. And profit-wise, you walked away with a big chunk of that. What was your profit take, like 50,000?
After refunds, it was probably about 5% refunds, which is pretty good for a software product.
Super good, yeah.
Yeah. Over 50,000, maybe like 55,000, something like that.
Okay, so 50,000 profit's a pretty safe number? Yeah.
I started at total sales was 108,000, I think, and then it was down to something like 102, 103, and I get 50% commissions on all of the affiliate sales, but some of the sales were just direct sales. So on those,
your own list and stuff like that.
So
at the end of the day, you made your take was 45, 50, 55, in that $50,000 range.
Right, something like 50,000.
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
I wasn't even trying to make money off of it. I was trying to like just get like honest people that were gonna use it.
Yeah.
Because I'd done a few beta launches. I did an alpha launch where I just coached people along to using it, but it was free.
Yeah.
And it was like 7 or 8 people. One of the girls put it on her site, and within I don't know what it was. It was like 2 or 3 weeks, or maybe a month. She was getting something like 1,000 opt-ins a month.
Oh my God.
For one time.
That's awesome. Now, were you able to put that into your WSO, like the testimonial from her and some of her stats and stuff?
Yeah. What I did was I asked them to all give me their reviews, and I had them all give me, I have like a master Google account in Google Analytics.
Yeah.
And so I had them all give me access to their Google Analytics account. So I could look, and I said, here's how you set up the thank you page when people opt in as a goal. So I can show them actual statistics. Yeah. And so I put up her site, and I say, look, here's how many opt-ins, and you can see as it goes up. And now, last month, she got 1,000 opt-ins.
Awesome.
And this is someone who's brand new to internet marketing.
Awesome.
Boom, she's building 1,000 people a month free. Yeah. So there's the initial work and the initial.
And you made, even when you had a list of only a few dozen people, 100 people or less, you were still making thousands a month off that list. I mean, there's.
Well, yeah, that was like my aha moment. Like when I had that list, it was probably up to about 200 people. And there's two different times when I did a big promotion for, I pushed hard for someone else. I mailed for someone else's product. And I really didn't promote for other products that much. So it was kind of new to me. And I promoted these high ticket products. And the first one was a product called the Authority Formula. It's this guy named Greg Abstritt. And I promoted for that. I made something like $2,500 off emailing to a list of 200 people.
It must blown your mind.
And then he gave me free tickets to his event. So I flew out to Denver to the event. I met up with people there. That's where I met Mike Koenigs. I met Amish Shaw. I met a bunch of people. I did interviews with them and stuff like that on video. And so all that came from sending out an email to a list of 200 people. Yeah. I made all these connections. That was the first event I ever went to. Yeah. Or one of the first, maybe the second event I ever went to. Yeah. The second time I promoted, what was it? SENuke-X. Yeah. They came out with their latest version. Sure. And, obviously you're familiar because you do the SEO stuff and everybody in Bring the Fresh uses it. So some of those people were from Bring the Fresh. I do a lot of SEO stuff, so the people on the list were into SEO. Yeah. And so I promoted this SEO software because I used SENuke. Yeah. SENuke-X came out, and they were selling lifetime versions for $1,000 or $2,000, stuff like that. And they were selling, year-long memberships for $500 or whatever it was. And I made over $2,000 on that, just on sending emails out for that. And again, 200 people on my list, and it was like, I got to start building a list.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. No, and this is a beautiful experience, and for people to see you be able to have this little success on this small level and how it's come along, and see the thing is, the sky's the limit for you. You get to keep going and going and going. Every new idea, every new offer that comes out there, you're in the game now. Like, I mean, you're in the game.
And when you have a product, it's even better because people are really, you're really well connected with them.
Yeah.
You know, they know you very well, and they've watched all these videos, and they're using your stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, the first email that I sent out to my brand new list, you know, those initial emails to 200 people were like, I tried really hard. I came out with bonuses.
Yeah.
I you know, strategized.
Yeah.
The first email that I sent out afterwards was like, you know, this is a really cool product. Go check it out. You know.
Yeah.
I thought.
Yeah, you did a promotion, but very low key.
Yeah, I made something like $2,500 just writing an email that was hardly any work at all.
Right.
But less than an hour.
Right. No, you know, hardly, like, no big elaborate bonus, nothing like that.
Yeah.
Boom, goes out and makes you a ton of money.
Right, and it's I don't know if people are too familiar with earnings per click, but you know, it was making something like $5, $6 earnings per click, which is pretty insane.
Yeah.
Just sending out an email to my list just because they connected with them so well.
Yeah.
You know.
I love that.
And this is from the Warrior Forum, where people say it's kind of a different animal. People are like, they'll buy a product and then they forget about it and buy the next one.
Yeah.
Well, even still, I made such a connection with them. You know, it's that easy to make money.
I love that.
Now I just wake up in the morning and send out an email and I make money.
And you get to work from home, and it's just a beautiful situation. Well, Rob,
Yeah.
I really want to thank you. You've just been so incredibly generous with your time here. And I think that the folks that are enjoying this interview are going to realize that there's some killer points here. Like, you're just at this key moment where you're coming over the top and you're remembering all the moves that you made that got you there. And I don't know if you have any other advice. I mean, this isn't pre-planned, so I don't know if you have anything else that you'd say to somebody who's coming along. But I just really want to thank you and appreciate the time you spend with us here.
Yeah, the main advice that I would have to people is go a little bit above and beyond, you know, and go and find somebody who's had the same success that you want to have, and kind of dig in and figure out what they did, and then emulate it in your own business. And figure out how to make yourself stand out from everybody else who's doing the same thing as you. And if you could do that, it's going to be easy.
And we're giving people a way to really stand out here, which is to offer your email address for people, point them to it, say, please ask me your questions, and then answer those questions. Answer those questions, transfer the key points, the key things that worked into your next blog post, into your next email broadcast that goes to your list, your next headline on your site. And just keep building from that, because that's sort of like the what do they call it, the fountain of youth when it comes to marketing, is answering people's questions, giving them the answer, giving them accessibility to yourself, and then giving them the answers that they need to scratch that itch, to have that aha moment. Exactly. That's how you know what they want, and that's how you can give them exactly what they want. This is killer. All right. Well, thanks so much, Rob. I'm gonna stop this recording.